We begin tonight posing some questions for you at home. What would you do if your life was upended in an instant, your family split apart? Where would you go? How would you carry on? Millions of Ukrainian families have had to face the most difficult of circumstances and forge a way forward. It's been more than a month since this war began, and we traveled here to Warsaw to see the epicenter of this historic refugee crisis firsthand. The population here has surged by roughly 20%, or 300,000 people in just 4 weeks. And while refugees may be safe, safety alone does not offer sanctuary from the horrors of war. We saw the uncertainty and sadness in the faces of refugees who have had to leave their homes and husbands, fathers and sons behind to fight. This footage, released by the Ukrainian Territorial Defense Forces, allegedly shows Ukraine taking back a small town just outside of Kharkiv. But tonight, both sides could be preparing for a possible diplomatic solution, with talks in Turkey scheduled tomorrow. And there's some concern about President Biden potentially making a diplomatic solution more difficult after he stood by his initial remarks that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power. Back here in Poland, hundreds of thousands are attempting to start over, but they remain hopeful that they'll once again be able to return to their homeland and make their families whole again.
Может, она возьмет.
The ringing can be excruciating.
Сейчас папе позвоню туда.
For Anastasia and the many children and wives who anxiously wait to hear Dad pick up just to know he's still alive.
Привет, тата, как у тебя справы?
Та поки добре, поки нас не бомблять, так що ми живі, здорові. Їжа, вода є.
It's been 1 month since Anastasia last saw her father. They often communicate via text, but on this day,
В центрі квартири за двома.
she gets to hear his voice, something she's been longing for.
Таке.
Daily emotions run the gamut, but rarely include this sound
Якщо вони туди зможуть.
of laughter. Anastasia's family is staying with her extended family in this house in southwest Poland, once a temporary resting spot for car factory employees. For now, their family is calling it home.
There I can study here.
Each morning, they gather downstairs for breakfast, just happy for the routine of morning cups of coffee and trying to share some moments of levity in the midst of it all. Some semblance of normalcy, a brief escape from the nightmare they left back at home.
Производить и показывать свое спокойствие, чтобы вот эту свою тревогу не передавать детям. Вот это сложнее всего, вот себе все это держать, чтобы не распространять на их.
Not immune to the trauma that surrounds them. In just 1 month, the young have been aged by war, uprooted to a new country with their friends scattered and their routines shattered.
Политики решают свое мнение, а должны это делать все солдаты, которые вот своими жизнями защищают там Украину.
Constantine is just 13, but he tells us he's no longer scared of horror films because he's lived them.
Бывает нормально, бывают какие-то военные сны, не знаю. Ну, точно все не помню, не скажу, потому что сразу забываю как-то, потому что не хочется вспоминать про войну тут.
Мы просыпаемся, как спалось, и каждый начинает рассказывать, что снится. Вот бомбежка, тоже бомбили дома, мы прячемся. Вот это кошмарные сны, они, я не знаю, они не заканчиваются. Ну, Тимка вот до сих пор, у него, сколько мы уже здесь, 3 недели, ночей, наверное, 3 или 4 он спокойно спал. А так каждую ночь он еще плачет ночами. И не знаю ты чего. Тебе что-то снится? Нет. Что-то болит? Нет. Ну, вот, не знаю, психологическая какая-то.
When we last saw Tatiana and 4-year-old Timka March 1st, they were in a hotel fleeing to Poland for safety. After spending several days hiding in a basement as the Russians attacked their suburb just outside of Kyiv, they tell us 5 to 6 missiles flew over their town every day. It's a horrific story, now shared and told by millions. Over Over the past month, the mass exodus of refugees has been putting a strain on Ukraine's neighboring countries. Families not only leaving behind their lives and dearest possessions, but of course their husbands and fathers. Many women now struggling not only with the trauma of fleeing war, but with having to go it alone. For Irina Batyuta and her daughter Veronica, even though they've found a family to take them in, they still return to the refugee center every day to keep their own spirits up by volunteering at the daycare.
We put on that wall only the happy paintings. They are all in color. Our children, they also use a lot of dark colors, like black or brown sun. What they paint is always in dark colors. Under normal circumstances, kids will just fall asleep. These kids will seek shelter under a table to sleep.
I see you all holding hands. How important is family now?
We are holding hands because we are afraid to lose each other. Even when we are asleep, we also hold hands because we are afraid to lose each other. Yes, you are right. During these troubled times, close relationships are the most important thing.
American English teacher Juan Tech managed to leave with his son, Ukrainian wife, and her grandmother a few weeks ago. We spoke with him in a parking lot as he attempted to cross the border into Poland.
We're going one direction, and in the other direction, we keep seeing a lot of Ukrainian military personnel heading, and their faces are not, they don't seem at all, it's weird to explain. They look a bit petrified, but ready.
1 month later, he lives safely in Poland, about 20 minutes outside of Krakow with his family. Although Juan was not able to stay and fight in Ukraine, he's found another way to serve his adopted country. He's helping refugees settle into Poland, hoping to restore a bit of their dignity.
At the center where I was at yesterday, they just cross, they're just lumped together and they're laying like in these like makeshift beds, like in crowded areas with their babies. And it's a terrible sight to see. So, and I think that just extends the trauma they already been through. So they don't really get any time to heal until they get some space. Like here, for example, like this mom's going to have this space for 4 nights. So that'll give her enough time to heal.
Thousands of refugees still remain at Poland's border, stuck in limbo, waiting for a reprieve from what many call hell. At refugee centers like this, hundreds are coming and going every day. And while it is a far cry from home, at least here, they are safe, they are warm, they are fed, and able to get a bit of rest as they contemplate what's next. Mothers like Daria Belinko, who after 24 hours on a bus is about to spend her first night at this refugee center just outside of Warsaw with her 1-year-old son and 3-year-old daughter. Because hiding under a table in her apartment in Ukraine no longer felt safe.
We were given a data pack, so people advised me to take 2 things of each category. And I've actually gotten rid of some of the things I brought because it was too heavy.
How are the kids doing?
Sarah is crying all the time.
Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home?
Yes, I would like to.
Konstantin tells us when the war is over, he hopes to go back home to help rebuild his country. Until then, they hold on to the bits of happiness they can. With calls to their loved ones and friends.
Разговаривают девочки, вот это вот переживали, там папа, да.
Говорят?
Конечно.
И что говорят?
Девочка в Варшаве думает, боже, а кому ж пойти делать? У меня вот волосы уже надо покрасить. Я не знаю, куда ехать.
Ой, я не могу.
Anastasia clings to what used to be in anticipation that it will be once again, sooner than later.
Тимка домой звоним каждый день. Тимка каждый раз к бабушке, у папы спрашивает, а война уже закончилась? Потому что он когда-то спрашивал, я ему объясняла, мы поедем домой, когда закончится война. И при каждом звонке звонит, бабушка, а война уже закончилась? Мы объясняем, что война, мы даем ему надежду, война закончится, все будет хорошо, мы поедем домой, мы победим, и не этого, не понимает все это.
So many hopes of heading back home.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.